Do you know what? I love books. I love reading. I have done since I was a kid. I used to stay up past midnight when I was like 9 reading, for real. And even now, that is my vice. Even though I know that I'm probably going to get woken up really early, still, I get myself a little cheeky bowl of Cocoa Pops and I will read until 2 a.m. because I can't stop. I just love reading. So, I thought I would start a little book club. It's not really a book club because you're not here in my house drinking wine with me. I'm just here in front of a camera on my lonesome, talking to you, talking your head off about my favourite books. But I thought that you might quite like it because I'll like it, and sometimes that's all you need from YouTube. You just need to watch somebody enjoying something. So, I'm going to tell you about the books that I have loved that have informed my parenting, because most of my thoughts on parenting have either come from dear friends who do things in a really cool way, or from reading books until 2 a.m. in the morning. So it's kind of a vice, but I guess it's also character building or something. Anyway, number 1, my first book is a brand spanking new book for 2016, and it is Hollie Mknish's Nobody Told Me. And nobody told me about this book, actually. I didn't know it existed, even though I'm a fan. But I guess I'm out of the loop. I'm not really online that much. So it passed me by until my sister came out to New Zealand to see me. And she bought this with her because she's a legend and she loves me. And she knew that I'd love this. But it wasn't for me to keep. It was just for me to read. But do you know what? By the time she went home, I was only there. I hadn't done like the last little bit. So she said, you can keep it. And when Mum and Dad come out, you just send it home with them because they were going to come out straight after my sister. But you know what? My Mum and Dad just got on the plane like an hour ago. And this is still on my bookshelf. And I'm really, really sorry about that, Jo. But I think she'll forgive me. But she might not. I don't know. Don't disown me, please. I'm secretly really, really glad that I did that. And do you know what? If I didn't do it accidentally, I can't tell you that I wouldn't have done it on purpose. I might have done. I love it that much. Anyway, the reason I love it is because it's everything you want from a bit of writing about parenthood. It is honest. It's really honest. In fact, it's almost like too honest. Things that I've never spoken out loud before, she has written about. She's written a friggin' poem about it. You know, some stuff that you think should sort of remain in your head, and that's why sometimes motherhood is quite a lonely business, because we keep all this stuff inside, and she's just like got it in print in black and white, and it's such a relief to read it. It is so reassuring. So I love it because it's honest. So she tackles things like sex. That's a tough one. Talking about, she's got like a whole poem about how with breastfeeding you often feel quite touched out. And, you know, you've been groped all day by your baby. And then at night time, you're meant to be using that same body to get it on. And that's quite a challenge for mothers in that first year, I think. But she just writes about it so beautifully. And also just mundane stuff about how thirsty you get, but how even though you get so thirsty breastfeeding, you always sit down in a place to breastfeed your newborn baby without any water close by. It's very strange, but true. She also, she's Hollie Mknish, so she cannot not tackle things like racism, misogyny, sexism, huge overarching like themes of social justice are through this book on parenting and poetry. And I absolutely knew I'd love her stuff on breastfeeding because I have watched some of her spoken word on that in the past and have been blown away by it. In fact, if you haven't seen her poem Embarrassed, then after this video you have to pop along to the search bar and Google it because it's really powerful, really great. So I knew that I'd love that, but what I didn't know was how much of an advocate she is for the idea that children are people and they're worthy of our respect. And that is a really quite a strong theme in here, and flippin' love it because, you know, that's a really key part for my parenting is treating children how we treat each other and how we want to be treated as adults. So there's this one particular poem. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but she talks about society's really dim view about teenagers and toddlers, and how quite often our perspective towards them almost exacerbates that whole thing. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. It does go on to talk about a little meltdown in a supermarket when her kid wanted to take all her clothes off. I can identify with that. Yes, I've got 2 naked children. They want to be naked all the time, any place. Take those pants off, put them on your head. That's their way. So I really identify with this. But it's also the overall theme of, why do we give them all labels and things like that? And the terrible twos. What a stupid phrase. So this is the terrible twos. One tiny little bit. And we cry tantrums, traumas, trouble, because they create a little rubble as they step away a little, push the boundaries of the bubbles that we made. So great. So even if you have to go thirds with your 2 busy mates to get this book and then take it in turns reading it and then swap it around from each other's bookshelf, I think you should do it. It is really, really great. So that is the first book of my parenting book club. Nobody Told Me by Hollie Mknish, a winner. And next time I'm going to be talking about maybe a couple of books that you wouldn't have expected. Either you haven't heard of or a little bit unexpected. So keep tuned for the next book club installation. And subscribe if you like.